Wants to.
I mean, it's there.
Yeah. We'll go one more time.
Yep.
Be an anticlimactic day here. Hello, might be all you're gonna get today, ladies and gentlemen. But she's running. So, a great day in the history of human civilization. Scott's still not satisfied.
I think you might be ready. I guess.
Yeah. I mean, whatever I got out of there, I put new stuff in, but even that new stuff now has been sitting for a while, you know? So, that's probably close to 2 years old now when I did put fresh gas in it, so. But listen, we got it running. That's an amazing first start in what could be, I don't know, 6-10 years, who the hell knows. So tomorrow we're going to try to do a little bit of diagnosis on the clutch and that whole situation. From what I've been told, the clutch master cylinder is one of the worst jobs you can do on this car just because it's buried in the front firewall somewhere, but stay tuned for another episode where we tackle that. It's all for today. It's great license plates. You get it? X19. Day numero 3. Scott here is taking the liberty of getting, as he's on the phone, talking to BJ's about getting the new tires mounted. Got all his soldering stuff set up.
Hey, is this the tire department?
Just, you know, amazing job by Scott. So real quick, we have new little rings, I don't know if you can see this, mounted on the fuel pump. Probably can't see, just the fuel pump didn't really, it's a Bosch unit, didn't really match up with the sort of connectors that were on there, so we put little ring mounts on, so now those are fixed on, so that's going to be a lot more reliable, because part of the reason yesterday it was cutting off, I think the fuel pump was cutting off and obviously wasn't getting fuel to the motor, that's why it was stalling and stuff. Scott did tell me that he, up on the lift, ran it through all the gears and the clutch is mysteriously now working all of a sudden, which is, seems to be, yeah. It always seems, you know, let's not get too ahead of ourselves here, but seems to be working. So that would be a huge deal because apparently the clutch master cylinder on these is a real bear to replace. Assuming the radiator's working correctly and the engine's being cooled properly, this may be drivable, not even running, but drivable, which is, you know, beyond my expectations. So today, you know, we have one more day after today, so we have to figure out, A, how we're going to bring the car home, whether it's going to be under its own power, or if we're just going to bring it back to the trailer, because we've got to bring the trailer back to John. We're going to try to do brakes, four-wheel disc brakes on this car, which originally came out in 1974. Pretty advanced, pretty great. And even for 82, that's still kind of, you know, four-wheel disc brakes is still pretty great. So we're going to have to do the brakes, and we're going to, you know, probably see if we can at least drive it down the road a little bit, which would be awesome. These ancient Pirelli tires, which they don't even make anymore, have a great amount of dry rot, but are still holding air after all this time. I've never even pumped them up in the 2.5 years I've had this car. And then we're going to do what's called the brown wire mod, which is, without getting too into it, just a basic electrical mod which takes some of the, just alleviates the amount of draw that it takes to operate some of the auxiliary functions like wipers and lights, and the wipers on this thing are a joke the way they go up and down. Not that you'd really want to drive this thing in the rain anyways, but it's a little bit of a safety measure too, because one of the weak points on this car is definitely the electronics. A lot of cheaply made cars in the 80s, and you know, Italian cars in general are not known for their electronic savvy is a good word for it. Jay Leno always jokes about Italian air conditioning. This car doesn't even have air conditioning. Well, the air conditioning's right here when you take the target panel off, which we've stowed neatly in the front, which is pretty cool. A really great design, as I've talked about before. So I'm so happy. We're miles ahead of where, you know, we might have been had more things gone wrong, but it's another glorious day, and we're going to get to work and see what we can get accomplished, and then make some decisions about how we're going to sort of wrap up this phase of the project, which has been incredibly fruitful to this point. So here's some fun stuff here that maybe Scott will walk us through a little bit to explain a little further as we move along. So we're gonna get going. Janky, do thank you. All right, so we did go ahead and change the oil. I didn't really fit that in the narrative, but as usual, it's Scott working and me talking to a stick or something. But eventually I get involved here, and I think the oil that we put in was a Castrol 20W50. Now I got that from someone on the XWeb forum. I'm sorry I can't remember your name, but thank you very much. There was a lot of debate back and forth. That's sort of one of the nice things about forums, but it seemed like a good candidate and nothing too outlandish, so that's what we went with. So we're going to try to start it up and run it through the gears here. How's the shifting for you? How's it feel?
Actually, really smooth.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You hear things about second and third gear sometimes being a little wonky in these things.
No, it's all good to me.
So it's in neutral now.
Should be.
Clutch feels nice. See how she goes. Fantastic. All right, so as you saw in the little teaser at the beginning of this episode, we obviously did drive the car. I'm going to show the drive. The audio wasn't very good, so I'm just going to sort of do a little story time dialogue. And as I'm doing here, this episode's not very mechanical. We don't really get super in depth. It's, maybe a little self-indulgent and maybe a little emotional. But having this car as long as I did and how much trouble it gave me, again, a very relative problem in life, but just driving it was so satisfying and so worth all the sort of uncertainty and problem solving that went into it. So I just want to convey that if there's anyone out there who doesn't have a classic car and wants to get into it, it's very rewarding, and I just want to sort of talk about that and tell a story. So forgive me for that, and Janky do thank you.
What was this?
We're gonna try to drive it. Yeah, I was just maybe
I want you to get out first.
yeah. Alrighty, so as promised, or as threatened, yeah, little story time here on Janky AF. Now imagine yourself on a just gorgeous late summer's day, cruising through any town, USA. Didn't mean to rhyme there, but it's just a gorgeous day. You got your big weeping willow trees and a nice view of a meadow in the distance, full of, good, hard-working, tax-paying folks. And we're just out for a little cruise. Now, this is the first time I drove this car after owning it, well over 2 years, and just staring at it and thinking about it. And, like Tom Petty says, when you feel so close yet so far out of reach, just chugging up this nice little hill here. And boy, it was just a blast to drive. Like, obviously it's very loud. I don't even know if I got out of fourth gear. But all the things that people say about this car and all the things you read about it, you suddenly start to understand. And that's such a cool feeling when something abstract sort of becomes tangible or visceral. So, go-kart handling is a term that gets thrown around a lot. And you can tell, even though this car has no power steering, when you're even going, 20 miles an hour or so, it's, I wouldn't say it's light, but it's very direct, and you feel the lightness of the car more than maybe the steering itself. But you feel how nimble it is. You feel how small it is. I mean, this car is 13 feet long. And that's with the big bumpers. Now here, I think I made a comment about the power steering, because when you're at a standstill, it is, it's a bit of a challenge, but it's nice. It feels like you're actually doing something. It feels like you're steering the car. And just look at the lines on this thing. This gold color, I still don't know how I feel about it, but in the sunlight and in person, it really glistens and shimmers, and it's not just sort of like a baby diarrhea or whatever you want to call it. It really takes on it's called oro metallic, oro meaning gold, of course. And, boy, it really just does simmer, and there's not a bad line on this car. You slap a GoPro anywhere. Now, here we are, waving to Scott's parents as they drove by serendipitously, and that was just kind of a cool moment because as you'll see later, it was actually Mother's Day on this day. So I'm sure Scott's mom was very happy to have her son or cousin tinkering, and my mother, who's the greatest, she was patient enough with me to let me go work on my passion here, and I saw her later, so don't worry. But so just out for a little cruise. And, the reason I have this car is because my uncle, Scott's father, had a little Fiat 2000 or a Fiat Spider, and this nice grayish blue color. And that was when I just learned of the mark, of Fiat. And, Italian automaker, they got all sorts of bad reps and stuff, but Bring a Trailer has a great line on them where it's something about making quirky and whimsical cars, and I love that. I love a company who does that. So boy, this drive took quicker than I thought it was going to. I thought I was going to have to ramble on here forever, and I got so much more to say, but maybe that's for the best. But that was the first drive, and it was wonderful. It was a real just special moment for me, nursing a car back with a lot of help, obviously, from nothing, and now we're driving it, and there's a lot of work still to be done. So I hope you'll stay tuned for more of a Rise of the Fiat, and even when sort of the first sort of batch of videos wraps up, we'll be doing more. The coolant system's got to be dealt with. Clutch still, I think, even despite this success, still needs to be dealt with. So hopefully we'll keep bringing you more of the journey. And I really can't say enough about these cars. So with that, Janky do Thanky. She runs.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, we came over, there was no car in the garage, and I said, wow, that must mean it's running.
After we pushed it off a dock.
Wow.
Whoa.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
So because Scott is such a great dude, he asked his coworker the other day or the other month, or his coworker asked him. They got to talking about Janky Painting and Toilet Company, and anyways, he wound up with these beautiful old turlets. Now, I always love an enclosed trapway, so that's pretty great as it is. Unfortunately, there's a little mishap with the tank. It's got some cracking, but the real gem of the load is this beautiful American Standard and almost a mint green. It's a pretty rare color, I'd say. Again, enclosed trapway. I'd say this is probably looking at 60s. Not sure what model this is, maybe a Cadet. Oh, another crack there. 449, I don't see a date stamp. Date, oh yeah, 79. Looks like. That is, sounds like the right era. So we got these beautiful babies, and I love the wooden seats with the metal hardware in them. Real nice touch. So those beauties will be coming home with us too, and just another little element of the whole trip. So we're just gonna create some space in the transit here and load those up. So I know we're supposed to be talking about Fiats, but you know, figured since we were here, why not show you some of the toilet collection as well. Like to maybe take some.
It's like water in it. I don't know if that's okay.
It'll come out eventually. I just have to.
Well, I know, but if you want it in your van.
Oh, I think it'll be a negligible amount if it happens to come out the bottom. No big deal.
The white one was sitting outside. Well,
Yeah, well, that'll be a little easier to. Yep. Bits and pieces. There you go. Hey, maneuver.